Hello, I'm Gavin Hoey and this is the Technique of the Month from Digital Photo Magazine. It's summer! That means you're out and about taking loads of brilliant summer pictures. But what do you do with all those pictures when you get home? Well, we've got some brilliant travel journal templates so you can get your best pictures and make some wonderful journals. And I'm going to show you how to make a page or two. Let's first of all open up one of the templates. I'm going to go with the RT4 template. Now when you open it up, you may get this little message popping up, which is perfectly normal. Just click the word update and in we go. So here we have the template on screen. You'll notice these blue marks here. These are the guides. You don't have to see these. If you don't like them, come up to view and click on guide presets and they'll disappear. Of course they won't print out, but now they're not visible either. Now before we put any pictures into our template, we need to prepare it a little bit. And that means doing a tiny weeny bit of work on layers. Now layers, scary things, but don't panic. We're going to keep this really simple. So first thing we need to do is to get rid of this little padlock on the background layer. And we do that by double clicking anywhere on that layer, getting a little box here and saying OK, and the padlock magically disappears. Now one last thing we need to do, and that's change the blend mode. Currently the blend mode is set to normal, but if we click the drop down list, you can have screen, and that's the one we want to choose. Now having done those two things, does our template look any different? No, not really, but that's okay. Those two steps are really important and can't possibly be missed out. Right, let's get some pictures onto the screen and into the template. So let's start with this one. So I've got a whole bunch of pictures here that were taken in Verona, and I think they're going to look good as a page on the travel journal. So I'm going to come up to select all, edit, and copy. So I've copied that picture into the computer's memory, close it down, we don't need it anymore, and we're back to the template. Up to edit and choose paste, and there it is. Trouble is, our picture is over the top of the template, and I want it underneath. Fortunately, we got rid of the background padlock a minute ago, so I can now drag that layer underneath like that. Also, fortunately, we changed the blend mode to screen, and the screen blend mode made these white blocks transparent, so you can see through them. So you can see those two steps really were quite important. Right, let's push it over here somewhere. Now, the downside with this, of course, is the picture is just a little bit too big to fit into the frame we've got. So we're going to come up to Image, Transform and Free Transform, and just slide these corner handles in until it squeezes it down and fits it into the frame like that. Now a little point here, on the options bar along the top I've got Constrain Proportions ticked. Now that means as I move these corner handles it keeps the shape of my picture proportional. If you didn't have that ticked it would kind of squash it out of shape a little bit. Right, let's just click this little green tick at the bottom to make that transformation stick. But have a look here, you can see we've got part of the picture coming through. So I'm going to remove that nice and simply by getting the eraser tool and just erasing it away. Just as simple as that. There we go. Okay, so our first picture is in place. Let's add another one. Let's find one more picture to go in here. Let's go with this one next. And select all, edit and copy, close it down, and then edit and paste it in. Now this time we don't need to move the layer order because it automatically goes in the right place, but we do need to size it down a little bit because it's kind of a wee bit big. So Image, Transform, Free Transform, and we'll just drag these corner handles in like that. Lovely. Click the green tick and erase away the excess. Now this time there's quite a bit of excess because of course this is a landscape orientated image and we're trying to fit it into a portrait orientated box, but there we go. It's perfectly doable. Okay, so one more hole, so one more image. Let's just find another one to go in there. Let's go with this one. And select all, edit and copy, close it down and paste it in. Good old Free Transform. Really getting to know Free Transform rather a lot today, aren't we? We're going to do quite a bit of work with that. So we'll just shrink this in like that, and like that. Click the tick. Now, sometimes you have to watch for tiny bits showing from one frame to another. It's very small, but you can just see that little tiny slither coming through there, so we'll remove that like so. Great, okay, so there we are. That's the basic technique for how to put your pictures into the travel journal templates, but you can go a little bit further than that. Now, on every template, there's also the option of a caption. So here we have the caption along the top, And if you want to, you can just turn it off. Just click on the big letter T here and switch the I icon off and your caption will disappear. But it is nice to have a few words to remind yourself about what the pictures were about and the reason you liked them at the time of taking. So let's zoom in nice and close so we can see what we've got here. Okay, and I'm going to change the words because I'm sure that isn't really what you want on your picture. Come up to the layer, find the layer with the big letter T and double click the big letter T. So all the text now becomes highlighted. Now, a few things you can change here. You could change the font, and I'm sure like me you've got a load of fonts on your computer. I'm going to stick with the classic Arial, which I've really grown to like just recently for some reason. I'm also going to change the style of the font, and I'm going to have italic instead of bold, so it gives a nice sort of lean to the side. You can also change the size of your font if you want to make it a little bit bigger, and we can just bump that a little in size. There we go. So there's some basic font things that you can change. Of course, it would be nice to change the words, wouldn't it? So let's double click on the big letter T and type something else in there. So let's put in here the windows and balconies of Verona. Like that. There we go. And we'll click the tick. Lovely. So there we are. We've now added our own little caption. So that's one way you can customize your templates, but let's take it a step further. Let's see what else we can do. Have a look at the background here. Now the background is a nice clean white, and I think for this particular page that looks really good. But perhaps you want to have a picture in behind it rather than having the white stark just there. Well, you can do that too. Let's close this down and we'll find another one to bring onto the screen. Let's bring this one on like that. So this is one I've been working on already. As you can see, I've already put the font in, and I've already put the text in. And what font have we gone there? We've gone with Times New Roman there. Nice classic font. And I've put the pictures in as well, but this time that white border I'm not so keen on. I think that's perhaps a little bit too stark. So what we're going to do here is put a picture in behind. Now the picture I want to put in is this one here, which is just... bring it up, there we go, just a picture of some clouds taken on the same day. So here's what we're going to do. Come up to select, select all, edit and copy. We'll close that down and we'll paste it in, edit and paste. So basically the same steps as before. But as you can see, it's gone onto the picture and kind of covered the whole picture completely. Well, another job for layers, this one I'm afraid. Come over to the layers here. Here you can see the clouds I've pasted in. I'm going to move that layer just above the template layer. Okay, so it has to be the next one directly above it. And then I'm going to switch it off. I'll come back to that in a minute. But I'm going to work on the template layer. So click it to make sure it's active. Right, we'll get the magic wand tool. We'll click on a blank white part of the picture to make a selection. Then go to select and inverse it. So now the photographs themselves are selected. And we'll go back to our sky that I brought in a moment ago. Switch it back on, make it active. Come up to edit and choose clear or cut. Let's cut those out. There we go. And there we are. So we now have a new sky in behind the images. So it sits where the white was. But if that's a little bit strong, you can customize it further by just taking the opacity of this down. So you can just blend that out, just to bleach it out a little bit, just so you have a little bit of tone and detail back there rather than being an overpowering image. Of course, you can choose whatever you want to put in there. Now, that's how you do it with the square-edged border frame templates. But if you want to use the arty-edged ones, that technique won't work. So let's see how we do the same thing with the arty-edged templates. So once again, I've got another one here, and again, I've been playing around with this one. I've put the picture in and changed the caption. But this time I want to put another picture on this very big white area. So let's get the picture onto the screen. Here we go. And we'll select it all as before. And we'll come up to edit and copy it. We'll close this down and we'll paste it in. In it goes. Right, now this time of course it doesn't quite work so well as the last one because once again I'm trying to put a landscape orientated picture into a portrait orientated box. So we're going to go back and use a bit of free transform once again. So free transform this up, let's make it bigger like that, stretch it down like that, and we can just jog it across somewhere like that. When you're happy, click the green tick, and that'll make that transformation stick. Now once again we've covered the whole of the template. I can't see any of the work I've done. And again we need to use the layers to correct that. So I'm going to move that layer down so once more it sits just above the template layer, just like that. This time I'm going to drop the opacity down a little bit so I can start to see through it. And as I do, you can start to see the picture coming back through. And you can get the idea of what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to have this kind of faded out background, but with the stronger template visible. The only trouble is, even though I've dropped the opacity down, I can still see bits of it going through the picture, and it looks a little bit messy in the middle. So what I'm going to do now is to get the eraser tool and just erase that picture that I pasted in and sized up. I'm just going to erase it away, just like that. So I can tidy it up just like that. And that works okay. But if you want to take it a little step further, here's what you can do. Go over the edges just a little bit. Just let it drift over the edges so you get a little bit of a white glow around your main picture. So that arty bordered picture has a nice kind of white halo just around it like that. That also ensures that you've removed all of the picture spilling onto the image like that. So there we are. Again, you can play with the opacity. I'm going to drop that right down though. I want it just nice and washed out. So there we go. There's a couple of things you can do with our travel journal templates. I'm sure you'll come up with some other brilliant ideas. Have some great fun with these and take some brilliant summer pictures.